Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Lancescurv. Things can happen so fast. Shannon Sharpe, this time last month, didn't have a worry in the world. He was about to sign that contract for $100 million, a $100 million contract to be that top podcaster that he is. And your world could change around so fast. But lots of times, there are omens that come into our life. There's situations that warn us long before the storm comes. You know, when I think about the Native Americans and how they can put their finger up and kind of tell when the hurricane is coming 5 days from now, or can live through the cold weather, they were connected. I'm not saying Brother Shannon Sharpe was not connected, but sometimes we have to really keep our guard up and realize when we're a target. And so this is why we have to heed the warnings that come our way sometime.
Talk to us. Because this moment is different now. When you and I,
it's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
She told him.
I'm looking right at you. I ain't backing down. You better take your ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn,
now I'm looking right at you. Let me tell you what Shannon needs. Let me tell you what my baby needs. He needs him an old fat gal. Bake good cakes. Make some smothered turkey wings. Who's gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay? And gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 6-year-old girl. This is your talk to you. Take your ass and get your old bitch out there that can love you old. You try to hang out with these young bitches and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it. They want you to go for the fourth round. You looking at her like, bitch, listen, I need you, want some money?
Talk to us.
Let it roll again.
Because
let us sink in.
It's different now. When you and I,
it's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
Are you trying to say what you trying to say?
I'm looking right at you. I ain't backing down. You better take your ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn,
now I'm looking right at you. Let me tell you what Shannon needs. Let me tell you what my baby needs. He needs him an old fat gal. Bake good cakes. Make some smothered turkey wings. Who's gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay? And gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl. This is your auntie talking to you. Take your ass and get your old bitch out there that can love you old. You try to hang out with these young bitches and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it. They want you to go for the fourth round. You looking at her like, bitch, listen, I need you, want some money?
Wow. Look, Monique told him the truth, and it was like an omen. And I mean, I do have my own personal issues with Monique that I won't get into here, but before the storm, there's always the warning. And so to bring everybody up to par, when you see this in the future, I want to play something else that can keep us up on track. And there's still more things that have happened since then. This thing is moving fast. A double-edged sword from public figures like Shannon Sharpe, former NFL superstar, media personality, and host of the wildly popular Club Shay Shay podcast. Scrutiny is nothing new, but in April of 2025, Sharpe found himself at the center of a firestorm that transcends sports and entertainment, spilling into the realms of law, morality, and social commentary. On April 12th, 2025, a 19-year-old woman came forward with allegations against Sharpe, claiming that a consensual encounter had turned into a non-consensual and traumatic experience. What followed was a cascade of public reaction, media frenzy, and legal posturing, laying bare the complexities of modern allegations in the digital age. The story quickly evolved into more than just a he said, she said situation. Social media weaponized the narrative almost instantly, splitting the public into camps of believers and skeptics. This incident, whether proven true or false, is now permanently attached to Sharpe's name, highlighting how public perception often becomes reality in the modern era. These events also revive long-standing discussions about power dynamics, age differences, and the blurred lines between rough intimacy and assault. While Sharpe's legal team denied any wrongdoing, the accuser's detailed statements prompted further inquiry from both the media and law enforcement. April 12th, 2025, a 19-year-old woman publicly accuses Shannon Sharpe of non-consensual and aggressive sexual behavior during a private encounter. April 13th and 14th, social media erupts. Hashtags trend across Twitter and TikTok with both supportive and condemning reactions. The accuser shares more details online. April 15th, Sharpe, through his attorney, denies all allegations, stating the encounter was fully consensual. April 16th, a video interview of the accuser surfaces where she describes the experience in graphic terms. Some note inconsistencies, while others see signs of trauma. April 17th, Sharpe's YouTube show, Club Shay Shay, experiences backlash, with some fans demanding accountability and advertisers reviewing their partnerships. April 18th and 19th, public figures weigh in. Some defend Sharpe's character, others urge caution. The cultural divide becomes apparent. April 20th, Sharpe's legal team suggests a defamation lawsuit may be forthcoming due to conflicting stories. April 21st, the woman hires a prominent attorney, suggesting she may take legal steps. April 22nd, screenshots of private messages between the two are leaked. Supporters of both sides use them to bolster their case. April 23rd, police confirm the matter is under preliminary investigation. No formal charges have been filed. Wow. What are we going to do, people? It's going to keep happening. This has been happening. This is not something that is brand new. His little background on Shannon Sharpe, as he was on a collision course with this particular situation. He's born in Chicago, Illinois, 1968. He's 5 years younger than me. Wow. Raised in Glenville, Georgia. Stars at Savannah State University. Drafted by Denver Broncos, 1990. Wins first Super Bowl, 1997. That's a while ago. Plays for the Baltimore Ravens, 2000 to 2001. Wins third Super Bowl, 2001. Retires from NFL in 2003. Inducted into Hall of Fame in 2011. Co-hosts Undisputed from 2016 to 2017. So let me ask you, family, if this man wasn't as famous and wealthy as he was, would he be in this situation? And my thing is, when a woman, and we got to be careful in the words we use here, when a woman is violated in that way, even though they had a relationship for 2 years, when a woman is violated in that way, who's the first person she's going to call? Now imagine a woman who is maybe middle class, doesn't matter the class, but let's just say it this way. And there was some dude that she was dating for a little while, and he actually did this to her, where she said no and he kept going, hurt her, maybe a little bloody. I'm not saying this is what Shannon Sharpe was alleged to do, but I'm making it extreme to make a point. Tell me this. Would it be where they call a lawyer? I'm not making fun of the situation, but it's just so obvious. Would it be where they call a lawyer? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. You call the police. You're calling a lawyer because you feel you have a case. And what's the lawyer's name? Busby, right? This guy is known for being basically an ambulance chaser because he goes after Diddy. He went after Jay-Z. And I'm going to say it this way. With Diddy, right? We know what we know, and some of us don't know. I don't know. I'm not defending him. And if P. Diddy was or is guilty to the things that he's done, they say he's done, well, guess what? He's going to go down. I don't condone that kind of behavior at all. But then you have to understand that there are other people who go after you when you do have a modicum of wealth. And now with Shannon Sharpe, he's got to take some kind of accountability. What do you have in common with a 19-year-old, which she should be about 21 now because the relationship was 2 years old? You're 56 or you're 54 at the time, and she's 19, and now you're 56, and she's got to be 21. They don't say she's 21. They push to 19 to keep the ages separate, right? So why is it that this whole thing blew up at the exact time of him about to, I don't know if he did or didn't, but $100 million is hanging over his head, and she wants 50. That woman who in the regular neighborhood, working a 9 to 5, she gets violated in that way. Is she going to call a lawyer and ask the regular guy who makes minimum wage for $50 million? And remember, I'm not demonizing this woman, right? But she's an OnlyFans model. So she's not going, look, 19 years old, she's 21 now. Let's count back 2025. So back in 2004, roundabout, give or take a few months. She was born. She was born into social media. She was born into it. This is all she knows. Maybe she went to school and knows other things, but society being the way it is, she's a social media baby. And she feels that she is somewhat attractive. My radar doesn't go that way unless it's my sister, so I don't know. This is what they say. Shannon, man, what you doing? What you doing? I'm not going to go there today. We're going to keep it just on this. You stay in your own backyard, man. I remember they had a song years ago, a reggae song. What was it, 89, 88, 90? I'm in love with a man nearly twice my age. What, do we got to amp it up now that 4 decades went by? I'm in love with a man 3 times my age. My God, 25 years from now, what will it be? I'm in love with a man 4 times my age. It's going to get worse, y'all. But these men don't know how to protect themselves. See, it's just like the song by, what was his name? Johnny Kemp. Just got paid Friday night. See, when a man has a little money in his pocket, you know, his chest kind of gets pushed out. And when a man gets paid and paid over and above, it's a whole different psyche. You begin to feel invisible or invincible. Listen, that was a Freudian slip. Maybe you should try to be invisible, people, when you have money. Just like the article I wrote, The Benefits of Looking Poor. I'm not saying this man's going to have so much millions and a football career and known like that, and all of a sudden he's going to try to fool somebody and act poor. But you were winning trophies, man. You were winning Super Bowls before this woman was born. What you think she's going to see you as? She's not going to get nobody like you. But look at her. She ain't all that. I don't understand it. What do you see in her, man? They say they were role playing. They say they were doing fetish stuff. None of my business. We all like things. I have fetishes. You have fetishes, whether you admit it or not. But you can't lose sight of the dynamics of this, especially when you know how society will treat you. Whatever she is, maybe she's Latino, I don't know, because you know, even when you look like her, you sometimes try to pass as white. And with the imagery, America is not going to want to see any different. This big, black, muscular man on top of this woman who's not black. They ain't going to dig it. They ain't going to like it. And that's the first thing they do, is they go after us in that arena. Because there's a fascination with America and black African sexuality. They're fascinated with it. They hate it at the same time in certain circumstances, but they're fascinated with it. So this has all of those dynamics because people are seeing this and they're imagining. Could you imagine this big black buck on top of this little girl? Because that's what she is. And as far as I'm concerned, no matter what age I've ever been, when I see somebody who might be younger than me, like trying to get at me, if I was 25 and this young lady was just turned 18, that was too big of a gap. You just jumped into the world of legal adults, but you don't have any experience yet. So when you get to be 35 and you're looking at 18-year-olds and you're 45, it can only be some sexual thing. And some men, they get a thrill from that age difference. I don't know what it is. Maybe they're trying to go back in time to remember how it was. Or they want to mentally dominate. I'm not trying to paint him. I'm going to speak the other way too now. But this wasn't some typical relationship. Did he say he wanted to marry her? But isn't he already married? I'm confused because this whole thing in the last week or two is thrown at us. And at first, I tried not to pay it any mind. But now I have to address it. I have to address it. Now, some men can't keep up with a woman their age. They don't want to be bothered because they will say that some women by a certain age, they're tainted, they're not fresh. But that's just an excuse. You've traveled the world, Shannon Sharpe. You're not dumb. You're in a position to be as young as you are in the media world, 56. You can go on for 20 more years strong, and you're strong anyway. You can go on for 30 more, but just say you go on for 15 more years, and you're starting out with a podcasting contract this way. Is this a shakedown? Is this something that they used against him? But if he did what he did with her, which technically is perfectly legal. It's not like she was 16 and 15, but still, when you go down to them ages, man, that's too close. Now, I know many men have been guilty sometimes. Say a bunch of guys driving down the street and they not much in their mind. Oh, man, look at that girl over there. And they find out she's 15 or 16. Oh, man, damn, she's too young. Okay, you caught yourself. But then there are a lot of men out here who are not going to catch themselves. And if nobody's looking and that young girl is down for something, they're going to do it. And that's why the jails are full of guys like that. Some specifically zone in on that. I'm not saying Shannon Sharpe is that. But let's not put him in a box that he doesn't belong in. But all I'll say is that he should have been thinking. Let me look at a few comments here. Brother Stead Watts says, we as humans continue to learn the hard way. It's so true. We do. The hard way, the hard way, the hard way. SB 1698-85. Lesson. You deal with trash or thrash, as you said, you turn into trash yourself. This girl looks loose. He's in his 60s. She's 19. He's a predator. She's a gold digger. Case closed. Very well said. Even though he's 56. Once you get 56, you're 60. I'm 62. I don't even have to count no more. Once you over 60, that's it. What's the difference between 60 and 70 and 80? Other than how you take care of yourself. Sweet D, thank you for being here. SB, I'm going to say it that way for short. Those numbers are a little bit too long for me. But sir, if the middle class man had money, women would sue him. Oh, of course. No, I agree with that. I agree with that. I'm not saying that if you're middle class, you won't go after it. But if he was middle class and didn't have big money, just enough to pay his bills, and maybe to live a couple of paychecks out off the curb, he wouldn't go for that at first. You know, the topic of sex has never had an equal balance. Us women lose more than the guys. Okay. In those situations, I'll say it, I'm live. I'm telling you right now from my heart, shooting from the hip. In those situations, which is the majority of situations, but symbolically, the sex has been used against any man, black man, power, influence. Look at what they're doing to Ibrahim Traore right now. I have to say it. 19 or 20 assassination attempts in the last 2 years because he's doing right for the country. He's young, 35, 36 years old, in power, making the country wealthy, kicked out France. Dude, you can't be a potential or a mover or shaker or potential mover and shaker without those eyes going on you. Now, all of a sudden, Donald Trump, this guy here in the Marines, top dog in the Marines, we need to go after him. He's doing this. He's taking the money, whatever, because they're all tied in together with France. And France got kicked out. They have no control no more. And America says, well, we care for Burkina Faso. But when France was ripping them off and taking 90% of all of their resources and tossing them nothing, did America care? So we have to understand there's all these dynamics behind it, especially when it's that kind of money. And you're right, SB, most of the time women are losing. When there's money involved and a man who can influence the world and have power in somebody else's media, even though he's doing his own thing, where you think this money is coming from. So he's got to be controlled. And the sponsors and all of that will make it come down crashing, because this is unacceptable, because we have the bar rise so high. There's so many talented podcasters and voices out there that we may agree or disagree or partially agree with that look like us. And there may be sponsors coming after them, but they have to play the game. But when you get it so high independently, you never know. Remember, he had Cat Williams on, and he let Cat Williams talk about what happens in the industry. Is this payback for that? That's not to take responsibility of what Shannon Sharpe should have done. You shouldn't have been led with only model, man. No, she's in it for the money. She's tearing her backside out to make money. You're going to lay up with her and all she's about money. That's letting you know right there. Look at her. What kind of conversation can you have with this woman? Huh? And look at you. Known all over the world. She's been doing this stuff. You get a decent woman behind closed doors. You want to role play. You want to fetish play. Go ahead and do it. Have fun. Knock yourself out. Crazy stuff I've done in my lifetime. You'll never see me caught up in something like this. And you'll never have a woman come to me and say I did something to her. This was consensual. We got down like that and we enjoyed ourselves. But you got to know you're a perpetual target. You got to take precautions. You have to understand that you may have to have a person you lay with write something down on a piece of paper. The middle class guy doesn't have to do that. But the middle class guy that does stuff to women, he needs to get locked up. I don't believe Shannon Sharpe is that stupid. If he did something that he wasn't supposed to do, deal with him. I just think that this already confirmed gold digger knew how to play it. and they released doctored audio to make him seem as though he was threatening her. But if they were doing B&D and S&M, bondage and domination, sadomasochistic activities, you're going to say things because you're role playing. I mean, I'm not into that. I'm not into the bondage and domination, but I've run into women who like to be tied up and dominated. But when you play those games, you have to have a code word that means stop. You're going too far. I'm not heavy-handed like that, but I've known situations where, you know, without saying too much, want to be smacked a little bit. I'm not into that. But they would smack my butt, smack me in the face a little bit. I'm uncomfortable with that. I'm not, you know, I want to be locked up or whatever. This is what you want? Choke me. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I'm the wrong guy. You could turn around and say this or say that. Unless you really know a person if you're into that, for those who are into that. I've accommodated sometimes. Let me see. Yep, sweet D. You know what he sees, skin tone. Skin tone. And maybe when he was back in college, he might have had a few experiences with that skin tone. Of course. They wouldn't get me with that if I was in college and a star and Super Bowl. No, but this is what they push on you. And he's from the South. And people, oh, what you mean he's from the South? Come on, man. We have black men all over from the North and the South that have a secret fetish for the white flesh. I know brothers from the Caribbean. They talk militant online, but they have a fetish for their Karens. They won't tell you that because that was the forbidden fruit. That was the standard and epitome of gain, of what you can get. Wow. If I only have, and that's passed down from slavery. So we want the money, we have the fame, and now we got to get the white woman or the white looking woman on our arm. Twisted. We've made it. We're entering heaven's gates of what we couldn't get before, and we won't get locked up for it. But she's damn sure trying to do it. Chrissy says, when you can control your lustful nature, when you got a lot to lose, you move with wisdom. Bingo! Preach, Chrissy. That's right. We all have physical urges. We also have a brain. And when you know how to control yourself, 99.9% of the time, meaning that little percent, when it's time, when you have somebody who's interested in you and you're dealing with them and you want to have a little taste from that part of the plate, it's okay to do what it is that you do, as long as you're not forcing somebody to do something they don't want to do. Consensual. But it seems as though it was consensual. This is my speculation. But at some point, maybe she wanted more out of him. Like I said, it don't look good, or rather, it doesn't look good. That she's an OnlyFans model? Yeah, there's a lot of women on OnlyFans. I know many. There's a few young ladies out here in Africa, in Ghana, spotted me in the street. Oh, you're Lancescurv. You have studio. You have cameras. Can you help us with OnlyFans? Nope. Friends of mine, hey, man, you can make good money. No, man, I'm not a pimp. Not a pimp. There's a lot of things I've been offered to do. There are people who make porn out here. They need cameramen and good equipment. It's a whole different energy, y'all. Let me see what SB said. And that's your abbreviation, SB. We lose our soul, which hurts more, and we cannot get it back. Men have less emotional connection. They actually enjoy it. Yes. Not all men have less emotional connection, but when it comes to lust, it's a physical thing like eating, going to the bathroom. Unless they have a higher mind and a greater sense of spirituality to know what they're doing. I've always been a polite person. I've always been somebody who was aware spiritually. But when women came to me when I was younger, I was like, okay. I didn't resist. No, until I began to see higher. But you don't get to this point where you make so much money. It's about the money. And you're a target. Even here in Ghana, I wear a lot of t-shirts, shorts, and Crocs. I don't have no jewelry on. I don't have nothing around my neck, nothing. And it's assumed that because I've arrived from America, and I'm obviously not working a job. Oh, he has money. I need money. Hi, how are you? I need money. Can I come by and help you clean? I need money. No. No. I know what time it is. I know what time it is. I'm not going to fall for that. Chrissy says, when you get on to lose, you move with integrity and wisdom. Shannon, he allowed his lustful nature with a barely legal girl mess up his career. I feel no sympathy. Me neither. Because the powers that be are out there to stop you from doing what you're going to do. I'm not going to say this is some plot. He did it. He was laying up with her. I'm not going to say he actually, and you have to say it with the G in front of the word now, graped her. We're not talking about picking grapes. But you know the dynamics, man. You know what's coming after you. What's always there. Don't slip and fall that way. You know? And Shaka, welcome on in, brother. He says, rumor has it is his normal behavior and it finally caught up with him. Okay, I can accept that. Because, I don't know. He's a guy who might be able to go to the gym and work out and discipline himself in the football field, but maybe he's amping up when he's on the podcast. This is just me and my opinion. I'm just, yeah, man. Like, I see him that way all the time. It's like something's off with you, man. I amp up on these shows when it's time to tell jokes and make funny things, but you see me in the street, this is the way I am. You meet me in person, this is the way I am. I know it's a little entertainment in there also, but behind closed doors, look, as a man, I can say, or just as a human being, I can see him for what he puts out to the world. But a lot of times we don't realize when we meet people, whether they're famous or not, you can't let the fame blind you. The bottom line is, how does he see himself? You can have all the money in the world. I know people who are millionaires, not like 100 million or whatever, but I know people who have 2 and 3 in the bank and they live normal. They can afford to go here, buy this when they want, whatever. And it's like they do fly below the radar. But I know them personally to the point where they feel that they're that person that didn't have the money before and they feel inadequate in some kind of way. Not that money should make you feel better about yourself. It affords you the ability to do more things, yes. But I don't have $1 million. I know I've made over $1 million all my life. You know what I mean? When you add up this 50,000, that 60,000, that 40,000, I know over my life I've made $1 million. But that's breaking me off a little bit. I never had a lump sum sitting in the bank. Right? But even from young, my esteem was always high. I never felt that I was less than. So the times that I did hold more money than I ever had in my life, there were times when, whoa, I got a little something here. And maybe the next year turn around and say, oh man, I don't have anything at all. Nothing bad, just that's how life is. But my self-esteem wasn't depending on the designer clothes that I wear, the car that I drive, or flashiness. I'm a creator. I like to create. That's gold to me. When I see a person who can create, an artist, a writer, wow, you're rich. Let me sit with you and talk with you for hours and bounce ideas off of each other's heads. I met a young lady like that. I met a young lady more gorgeous than her, or what they say she is, because she ain't gorgeous to me, right? I told this story before. I was driving the bus, and this young lady happened to be a model. She was black and mixed with Italian, which that's not a race, but, you know, whatever it is. But she identified as a black woman. And she was sitting in the front seat across from me and was facing me on the bus. I'm driving the bus. So I'm at the red light. You know, I look up at the mirrors, look around, look inside the bus, and I saw drawn on a pad. And the pad that she had wasn't some Walmart pad. I'm not putting it down. This was a special pad, a Bristol board pad. And she had drawing pencils of different leads. I think she was drawing with a 4H. I spotted that because I'm into that. And I looked at what she was drawing. I was like, whoa, that's fabulous. So at the next red light, I said, excuse me, miss, you're an artist, right? She said, yes. I said, can I see, you know, she held it up. I was like, oh my God. And she's drawing on the bus while we're moving, hitting potholes and hitting the brakes. But you still have such fine line work. And she was using pen like I do. Because you know, once you drop that ink on the paper, baby, it's a wrap. So the next red light, I spoke to her and I asked her name. I said, oh, you live around here? I wasn't rapping to her, but from one artist to another, but she didn't know that I was that. So before she left, I said, I have to keep in contact with her. That's the way I am. Mrs. Scurv knows this. I love people, good people. If you're into things that I'm into or not, if you're interesting. So I gave her the card. I said, call me. I'm an artist also. She gave me a look like, okay, this old guy's trying to rap to me. She was about 25. At the time, I'd say that was in the Blog Talk days. That's about 12 years ago. That's it. I had to be about 50 years old. So she was half my age. She was 25 and I was 50. So the next day, when I saw her on the bus, which I didn't see her frequently, so it was funny that I would see her the next day. She came up on the bus and she gave me the biggest hug. And she admitted to her, thinking I was some old pervert, by saying, she didn't admit to anything, but she said, oh, Lance, I didn't know, I'm sorry. I said, what are you sorry for? And she said, oh God, I thought that, you know, you were trying to. She says, I saw your work. I saw what you do every day. I see you're fascinating to me. Can I ride with you a couple of trips so we can talk? And it was based on that. So she rode up and down with me. Dudes on the bus, they got on, hey man, I see you putting your mouth down. Hey player, no, don't put me in that category. Just because she has a vagina between her legs, and this black woman was drop dead gorgeous. She was in several music videos. I lost contact with her. I switched up my social media so much. And I know how to get to her though. And I wanted to come on the show and show her face. And I wanted to tell you how we met. And she's going to tell you the same exact story. So she's like, we got to hang out. I said, sure. I said, you can come by my home. And one of the guys, hey man, he was listening to everything. Hey man, ain't you married? I said, yeah. Like he's blowing me up. I said, my wife would love to meet her. She's a fabulous young lady, because there was no crazy intentions. There have been many people who have come to my house and spent the night and everything. They can tell you good things. Just because you think this way and you do that doesn't mean I'm that way. She was doing the damn thing. I saw that. We have a common interest. She came over. I had some other friends come over. My friend Martin, he's like a techie guy. He just loved to come over and be in my little studio. He came over. She came over. There was another young lady that came over. The Scurv hung out with us. He said, I'm tired. Y'all hang out. I said, well, listen, I got to drop her home. Oh, whatever. So we hang out most of the night. I did a show. We had a good time. We hung out more times than that. She got very busy. She moved to New York. We kept in contact. You know how that goes. You kind of fall out of contact. But she was a head turner. I don't care about that. She could have been overweight, grumpy looking. I don't care. I would have addressed her the same exact way because of her talent. And I know how guys are thinking. Then when I dropped her home, we got into a conversation. I got to in front of a house like 3:30 in the morning, and we were sitting in the car till almost 5. People kept looking out. And I was the bus driver, so people knew me. So a couple of days later, hey man, that's your girl. I saw you out there. Come on, man. But I would have to be careful how I move if my status was a little higher. On all levels, even on that level, what I'm saying is that she wasn't going to come after me for money. I didn't do nothing to her, but my radar checked her out anyway. She was minding her business on the bus. She had like sweats, like Rocky in Rocky 1, you know, when he had the gray sweat, loose gray sweats. But I'm not saying this in a lustful way. Oh my God, she had a wonderful physique. I said physique. I didn't say body like, oh, I want to get all up in that. I saw. My God, you're well endowed. She keeps herself in shape. She did some weightlifting, running, swimming, and stuff like that. We talked about that. I know a little bit about that. So that increased my value with her. She'd call me sometime and say, should I eat this tonight or should I eat that? No, this way, this reason why. Oh God, you taught me something. It don't matter. I love life. But this thing here, OnlyFans model, what do they have in common? It's that flesh. It's that flesh. Then your network says, well, most dark-skinned men do have a fetish for white women or light-skinned black women. Yeah, I know that. Sweet D says that slave mentality is definitely a big part of it. Yes, it is. SB says, I think we can go general. If you don't follow God's rules, as in no sex before marriage, no adultery, no anal, that hit me. I'm like, oh, anal. Right? You put it out there and whatnot. You get into trouble automatically. Right. See, I can run across a highway with blindfolds on and not get hit. That doesn't mean that it's proper to do that, and I'm at a high risk for getting hit. I 100% agree with you, SB. I do. Even though I never adhered to that in my younger years, but yeah, and I know better. And I've been protected. And for all the craziness I've done, I've never caught a disease. I have a friend of mine that tells me, man, I was mad at you when I caught them crabs because you all got all these girlfriends, man, and you ain't never caught nothing. You know? Most of the individuals in that business are scumbags. You're right, NFN. Okay, Daniel, me, I prefer Latino Brazilian. I'm not really attracted to white women and pale skin. If I'm a date or if I date out of my race, the woman got to be dark skinned. Boom! Yes. Yes. Let me tell you something. Not out of lust, but there's something about a black woman. And even further, where they're not all made up with all this, whatever. You don't need that, sister. And to further cement that out here in the motherland, and I'm not putting the African woman over the African American. No, I don't get down like that. You black, you African, you black, you African. I don't care where you are. If you got a cousin that lives with you for 10 years and he moved to another state, just because he's a different state, does that mean he's not your cousin no more? I see these sisters here. Not one stitch of makeup. When they're done up, it's a little lip gloss. They'll cut their hair short and fade it. Not all of them. And they're healthy. Up in the mountains here from eating clean food, you see them walking with the thing on their head, out in the field doing whatever. They're not talking about, oh, we got to go get some McDonald's fries. And it's strong. In natural beauty without thinking they have to conform to some European standard, low standard, that you got to change yourself to be that. And many of us as black men have got to stop this thing, man. We have to go up under the hood and rewire ourselves. I mean, there's some men that think when they have a white woman that their life is going to be better or something, right? And some of us, well, love is love, it shouldn't matter. So it does matter, because if it's based on a mentally sick mind, it ain't love. Even if you came up in the system and it affected you and made you like this, you got to undo yourself to get the full rush and full connection. So if you're going after somebody just because of their skin, you're shortchanging yourself. It's not a part that's made for you. Call me racist if you want. But the vibration of a righteous black woman, you see the things that been said here in this comment section, the sisters that are here, they know what's up. But too many of us foolishly shun them, thinking that it's a bigger prize. Because what the media told you, what you saw on TV years ago, in the magazines, and even some of our sisters who are, how can I put it? How can I put it? It's like they're castrating their own looks, reducing themselves to be something else. I saw a news clip was sent to me about something that was done in my old neighborhood in Florida. I was looking at him like, man, I know that place real good. And somebody was walking behind. I'm like, I know that dude. But it was an 84-year-old woman who, she didn't have anything happen to her, but they hit her, they scammed her, and they must have blew something in her face, and she was out of it. Like she was, and they had her go empty out her bank account and stuff like that. The lady was not crazy. And in the comment section, all you saw was like, wow, that woman is very attractive. She looks so good. And I'm not talking about so good like I want to get with her, but she still had that thing that age can't take away when you remain true to yourself as to who you are. She was beautiful. And they had showed a picture of her with her family and her husband or something when she was younger, just to show during the presentation. And when you saw her young, you're like, whoa, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. Not a lust thing, but just the real beauty. That real vibration. It's fascinating to me. Yes, I see them and I look at them, not to say, oh, look at the backside, but that glow, that magnetism, that charisma. They don't have to be that smart, meaning as far as I went to school, I'm in college, whatever have you, but it's just a warmth that many of our sisters worldwide top down because they don't want to be that. They want to be looking like this. And let me add this back to Steve and take that off and let that roll. And what I'll do, but let me look at some of these comments again too. Let me look at some of these comments. Okay. There's so much to talk about with this because, no, I know, Chrissy, for a second I was reading and I was like, ego, 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 Daniel Williams says, get you every time. Diane, welcome on in. No, the ego is involved also. After a while, you know, people are coming at you for autographs. This goes with anyone. Anyone. They're coming at you for autographs. They see you. You're famous. You're in the restaurant eating to yourself. People looking at you. You know what I mean? People follow you sometime. They take phones and cameras. You know, it can be annoying, I guess. But after a while, you feel like you're on top of the world. People are listening to you. You're performing on your podcast. Hell, I'm just a little old YouTuber, and people see me down in town. Some people, oh my God, Lancescurv. But I'm not on that level. And if I was, I would not be that way. I'm used to attention. Anybody can get caught up in that, but from young, I'm used to it. And that's not the goal. I'm really a behind the scenes guy. I like putting these things together, writing. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this stuff that some people can't do it. You know, but that's kind of off topic, but all men, and this is not to demonize women because we're talking about it this way because it's a man involved with this type of situation with these allegations. But women have to protect themselves too from these men who are predatory, either on your money or your life force or your sex. They see you as a multiple grouping of orifices that they can use to pleasure themselves and nothing more. Because most men are desensitized to the spiritual aspect of loving a woman, the emotional aspect of being with. And like I said before, there's nothing more beautiful. Because when you do your woman right, you take care of her. She can't help but give herself to you in any way you please. And I don't mean like, well, I'm dialing up on the menu, I want this, I want this. Okay. No, I'm not saying that. When I say please, that she's eager to give to you comfort, support, love, because you supported her. You protected her. We don't protect our women anymore these days, y'all. We get into these relationships, we don't protect our women. Do we think they don't have value? We don't protect them anymore. We don't honor them anymore. If you honor your woman really and you love her, oh man, you a simp. No, you got to vet these women too. And women, you got to vet the men too. Some men don't have nowhere to live. They want to use you to live somewhere. Oh, can I come stay with you for a while? And then they never leave. They never work. They're sucking from you. And yes, the pleasurable way they do at night to stay there sucking from you of your finances. Some men are very good at that activity because that's all they have. They have to lay it down good. Don't you know I worked in the jail and I know this? Man, I'm getting out in 2 weeks, man. There's this chick I got to, I got to put it down good, man. So, because, I ain't got nowhere to stay. I hear him saying that. There are gold diggers, and all women are not that. And not make an excuse for this one. I don't know her story. I don't know her. I don't even want to know her. Just because you put your butt out there like that, what does that do? 2 butt cheeks. I'm supposed to be bedazzled by that. And you're smiling all innocent, your ass is out. You know what the men are going to look at and what they're going to want to do. She manipulating, but he's stupid. He's stupid for getting involved in that type of union. Right? Not to knock her, but what does she bring to the table except butt? I'd rather be with somebody who's old, like Monique said. And I have personal issues with Monique. Nothing I'll say public, but, in the journey, knowing how she is. But what she said to him was true. All this manipulation going on, we don't know who we're dealing with. We don't know what the purpose, we don't know how we are being viewed. Hell, half of us don't even know ourselves. You know what I mean? Half of us don't even know, okay, let me see what SB said. Shannon thought he was God, as if he could do whatever he wanted as a lustful man and get away with it without scratches. There are poor men who have had just one wife in their lives. Appreciate them. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. I don't disagree with anything that you said, SB. Even when you corrected me and said, well, women get to, I know that. But on this level, these men are targets. But when you put yourself out there and you get it, that this is the case where he was running around and thinking that he can do whatever he wanted. Hey, his number came up. He played Russian roulette with his penis and did something and left himself wide open because over time, you got to protect yourself, right? And society is not going to look at it a certain way. They're not. They're going to look at it completely different. Look at Roman Polanski. In 1977, acclaimed film director Roman Polanski was charged with multiple offenses, including unlawful sexual intercourse with a 13-year-old girl. After pleading guilty to a lesser charge, Polanski fled the United States to avoid sentencing and has since resided primarily in France. Despite his fugitive status, Polanski continued to receive accolades, including an Academy Award in 2003, highlighting a complex relationship between his artistic contributions and criminal charges. Look at Woody Allen. Look at Woody Allen. Hooking up with his adopted daughter, but she came into the whole picture at single-digit ages. So at what point did he start looking at her a certain way? But see, you got to understand, they're not going to always look at you, no matter how much ego and people shaking your hands, they act like they like you. You're a black man. It's a different set of rules for you. I'm not going to say you're not guilty of leaving yourself open, but you are guilty for leaving yourself open. That's like trying to run out in the rain and come back, run across the street and come back in the rain thinking you're not going to get wet. It's not going to work. Giant Gain, welcome on in. I love the fact that you all are here. I'm going to wrap this down. There's more things I'm going to talk about because this thing is ongoing and I don't want to run it out too long, but we will be back on this topic, and I like to do things like this every single day. I'm totally appreciative of you being here. And what I want to do, I want to play Monique's thing again, you know? Exactly. Now, with that name, GZDR for EV, which I'm thinking is forever, you know, I find it interesting there have been no criminal charges filed. Exactly. And you're on Twitch, I see, because we broadcast on different platforms. But like I said, are you going to get graped? I had to put the G in front of it. Busby attorneys. I'm not making fun of anybody who was in a position, but you sitting here, if you were that, and you call an attorney? No, you call the police. That right there doesn't sound right. You didn't call the police. Nika G, Grand Rising. Welcome on in. Okay, let me see what GZDR Forever said. What are men supposed to do? Videotape all their sexual encounters to protect themselves? Then if the tape is released, they can still be sued for revenge porn. What we got to do, and I say we because I'm a man, but I'm not out there like that, is take your time. Take your time. Look, I'm just going to speak on this. I ain't going to rush it. I'll talk for a few more minutes, but we're all pornoed up, man. We're all pornoed up. You know, back in the day, they said sex sells and this. Yeah, you know, you're selling a car. You got a woman with a breast hanging out, a bikini. And, you know, we have all these desires and these urges and different things. And, you know, most men have porn addictions. Most men have porn addictions. It's titillating and it messes up your brain. It desensitizes you as to the full majesty of what a woman is supposed to be and what she is, when she is, because some women and a lot of women are not all what they're supposed to be. So it's both sides. I'm not blaming anybody. Peace and blessings, Giant Game. But we're all porned up. We're all juiced up. You see a woman who has a wonderful form or not, because there are men who are into all kind of things. Man, I don't like no one unless she's about 400 pounds or 5'4". I had a guy tell me that, and it's true. When he got out of jail, he found her when damn near 5'4" and 400 pounds. And he was loving her, and he stayed with her. But we developed these extreme fetishes from watching porn. Why do you think the porn industry is so lucrative and there's so many people watching these things? You think not? Check the history on your man's computer. Maybe he has said, let me clean this off. I don't want her to know that I have a fetish for Czechoslovakian midgets and 8 foot tall, you know, Viking women. I don't know what it is. You'd be surprised. And it takes your mind down this rabbit hole. Bring it back. You can get into things naturally between the both of you. When you're getting your mind riled up and you want to take that template of what you have this newfangled desire for, which is engineered and satanic, and you try to place it on somebody else because you think they might be into that, that's off. And so many men are walking around in la-la land. They have no clue. And there are a lot of women who can't relate to it. The women feel sexual too. They get horny too. Some of them don't want a relationship sometimes. They want a buddy, a F-U-C-K buddy. Some of them, from that range to a full relationship. I can't tell. You don't know. We don't know. And we put our representative out there. The Malt Network, welcome on in. NFN Shaka, humiliation ritual. Yeah. Exactly. We set ourselves up as men and we're never satisfied. We're focusing too much on that one thing. So what happens when you get older? And that's relative. You can be old at 40, old at 35. I'm 62 and I ain't old. I'm older. If I let my hair grow out, if I grow an afro, it'll look like a white bush. Most of my hair is white. I didn't shave my head to hide that. I did that from back 1998. I had more time in my day. I hated to go to the barber 2 and 3. I got what? Have it exact. I'll shave that down. I give you $10. Dude, man, I need to stop this. Get my razor, I'm straight. Now I don't have to focus on that. If we do what we're supposed to do at each stage of our life, we will accept the chronological time that we're in. I'm at my happiest now than I ever been. Not that I was running around sad, but I have a lot of things figured out. I know me more. I've test driven myself for 62 years, and I know myself exactly. I know where the dents are. I know where the dings are. I know where the things where the check engine light comes on with me. I know what it is. I have no problem with it. Yeah, we want more time, but you know what? The more you elevate, you don't even worry about that no more. I'm trying to ascend, so by the time I transition, my bags are packed, and I took care of myself where I'm ready to levitate. I'm not, well, I don't want to go. Yeah, we don't know, and when we feel it, oh my God, this is happening. If you know that it's happening, but if you do everything through life proper and gain the wisdom and learn from your mistakes and the mistakes and misjudgments of others, you'll be all right. Like I said, where'd you come from before you were born? You got here, you didn't know what the hell's going on. It's all cold. A white man smacking you in the head. Why you smack me? You see all this light? You didn't see light before. Everything's fuzzy. You hungry? You're not in the warmth of your mother's womb. So these are stages that we go through from cocoon to butterfly. And it happens with us. Nature tells you this every single day. Nothing to be afraid of. Plus, you can't stop it, right? Diane says, these women are sent to our athletes, actors, and those who are doing well for themselves financially. Our male children often fall into this trap. They should be taught when they are young. Bingo! Right on point, Diane. Right on point. Well, I explained everything before. I don't know, Malt Network. You got to listen to this from the very beginning. We're on the flow at this point. But yeah, everything is explained, right? But I'll say this too. We know it's ego, most likely with him. He has money. He's maybe not treated the way he was treated when he was a young boy. I don't know. But he did get fame many years ago, many decades ago in football, yes. But we don't know what he's fighting. Maybe he sees himself as that, I'm not going to say poor, maybe he didn't grow up poor, but he's not who he is now. And maybe he's still fighting against that. And he has to, okay, she's 19. She's 21 now. It's still, that's there's too much of a gap. What are you all going to reminisce about after you enjoy your orgasms? What's she going to say? I remember back in 2016. You know what I mean? He can go back to the 70s, 80s. What you going to talk about? What you got in common? That's all it is. You all are glorified friction providers for each other. And that can't go but so deep. He's probably doing something with her sexually, and he has his own thoughts in his head. She's not even, she's just a body. What can she say to him that's so profound? Philosophically profound. Wow, I got to meditate on this. What you just said is life-changing. See, I have platonic friendships where with females, of course with men, because that's all it could be, right? But we speak with each other, and it's like, man, this is deep. They don't have to be my age. They could be 20 years younger, but 19? But she's 21 now. They keep saying 19. They met when they were 19. That's the further. That sounds worse that you're pushing 19 than you're saying 21. That's like you don't want to say you're selling something for $10 in the store, so you say $9.99. So, and then what do you say? Oh, it's only $9. No, it's a penny less than $10, but they're psyching you. Right? Amazing. Yeah. He was ready, getting ready to come into a $100 million contract. Exactly. Diane Gaines says, generally daughters are taught not to give up their essence all freely and loosey-goosey. Sons are taught to sow their royal oats instead of not sharing their assets all willy-nilly, right? And he offered her $10 million. Is that an admission of guilt? Is that a guilty conscience that the allegations when coming forward would still mar him, even if he's innocent of that? right? Maybe we'll find out. But you're right, Giant Game. The young daughters are taught, girl, you don't want to be one of them fast women and go out there and give up your cookies like that. They won't respect you. But then, and I remember this as a young man, it wasn't even my parents didn't say this stuff to me. It was like friends, family, aunts, whatever, acquaintances, friends of them. Oh, when your son gets older, he's going to have all the girlfriends. You see what I mean? So I understand that. It was done to me in that way where I kept hearing this. And I'm like, I didn't think about the women like to say, oh, the young ladies, it's not fair. You're telling them this and this and that. No, I didn't say that, but I got that a lot. But my parents never encouraged that. And because that was expected of me, the red carpet was laid out. Other young ladies, and they weren't too young either, a lot of them. You know my story. It was like, ooh. And some women have their hang-ups also. In the Black community especially, some. You know, I had a young lady the other day tell me, she says, oh, do you have a younger brother? I said, I have an older brother, but you don't want to know him. You know what I mean? Unless you like people on drugs. No, but you don't have, if you had an older brother, I would marry him and we'd have babies and I'd have white babies. And I was like, what? White babies? See, because out here in Africa, in this part of Africa, because I'm from America, they actually call me a white man. You know what I mean? It's funny to learn how people see things, and that's ignorance. Because I speak like this, my complexion may not be super dark. I'm a black man. You call me white man for? And you see this, you see how they would see me. So if I was running around here playing around with these girls, no protection, there'd be a bunch of them think, oh, I got a white baby. And what if I was thinking of a relationship? You see, you got to get to know people. You got to get to know who you're dealing with. Because it's one big mess. And SB said it. Unless you're following God's word, which sounds corny to many people, but will keep you out of trouble. It'll keep you from getting in a world of trouble. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's play this one more time. I may say a few words after this, but I want to hit this. Where am I now? Okay.
Oh, they talk to us. How this dating thing? Because it's Mo is different now than when you and I.
It's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
Let's add this in.
You tried to say that. What you tried to say?
I'm looking right at what?
Backing down. You
Where did I go?
Take your ass and get somebody to love you.
Okay.
Now I'm looking right at you. Shannon needs. I tell you what my baby needs. He need him a whole fat dab. Make good cakes. Make some smothered turkey wings. Who's gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay? And gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl. I know. This is your auntie talking to you. Take your ass and get your old bitch out there that can love you old. You trying to hang out with these young bitches and now you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it. When they want you to go for a fourth round, you looking at her like, bitch, listen, I need you, want some money?
Oh, they talk to us. This dating thing. Because it's Mo is different now. Than when you and I.
It's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
Are you trying to say that? What you trying to say?
I'm looking right at you. I ain't backing down. You better take your ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mo.
Now I'm looking right at you. Let me tell you what Shannon needs. Let me tell you what my baby needs. He need him a whole fat gal. Make good cakes. Make some smothered turkey wings. Who's gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay? And gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl. I know. This is your auntie talking to you. Take your ass and get your old bitch out there that can love you old. You trying to hang out with these young bitches and now you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it. When they want you to go for a fourth round, you looking at her like, bitch, listen, I need you, want some money?
Oh, they talk to us. Cause it's Mo, it's different now. When you and I,
It's different, baby.